Howdy gamers, Keith Hershey here. Today we're going to go over Dragonslayer RPG. I think I did a video not too long, well, I think it was last year, but I'm revisiting Dragonslayer. Uh, yeah, uh, got a copy of the cover up front here. So, so what is Dragonslayer? Um, it is kind of a combination of BX rules with a little bit of AD&D First Edition thrown in there. It's published by OSR Publishing or Greg Gillespie, uh, same uh, same gentleman who did Barrow Maze and a bunch of those cool mega dungeons. These are his homebrew rules. When him and his schoolmates were playing back in the 80s, they had their own version. Most of us had our own versions of D&D. And Greg basically put his homebrew rules together. And out of that came Dragonslayer. A couple other noticeable things. In Dragonslayer, the game master is the term that you're going to use for the game master in Dragonslayer is the maze controller. And there are 6 tenets to Dragonslayer. Ask exact questions. So when you're going in and you want your player to survive, you really got to ask specific questions, be very thorough in your questions so you can accurately take in the scene that is in front of you. You definitely want to use your senses, all the senses, and by asking good questions, you understand that the maze controller or the game master is basically your senses in the game world. So through asking those questions, you're going to be able to learn, the texture of the wall, what smells are in the air, um, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and how things taste. So, good players will constantly ask questions, you know, for to help them survive and learn about their environment. Next tenet is the rulings over rules. It's a fairly thick book, but going back to the OSR, you're not going to have a rule for every single scenario that comes up. And that's where having a good game master or maze controller comes in handy because they can quickly take in what's going on and they can make rulings. And consistent rulings makes a great GM or maze controller. Um, all right. Next tenet is the League of Ordinary Gentlemen. So the player characters in this version of the game, you do not start as superheroes. You start off as normal people in the world, and you're tasked with overcoming extraordinary obstacles. And the game is about your character growing and surviving in these extraordinary elements and circumstances. Definitely, as a player, you need to bring your intellect, ingenuity, your guile, craftiness to each character you play. And you definitely have to think outside of the box. Box meaning your character sheet. So just because you don't have a power or a skill that's on your character sheet doesn't mean you can't try and think of, okay, you have a hoe and you have a duck with you, how are you gonna avoid this obstacle. So it's thinking outside the box, your ingenuity, and how to overcome things. Next tenet is your game balance. So, so in, I'd say, the more modern games that are out there, there's a lot of emphasis on trying to create balance, encounters, and whatnot. And the OSR really thrives on the ability for you and your fellow players to read the room, ask exact questions, and understand if you are in a perilous situation that you're not going to survive. Not everything you're going to come up against are you going to be able to overcome. Some things you might have to go back to town, you might have to get some different gear, or you might have to strategize a little bit better and come back at it again. But definitely, that's one thing that it makes it kind of fun, in my opinion, is not everything can you just beat down and overcome. It really takes your resourcefulness to a new level of trying to figure out new ways of overcoming obstacles. Next tenet, who's in control? A lot of times, and Greg mentions it in here as well, a lot of times people think the DM or the game master or maze controller is the one that's in control. And to some extent, there are some of the newer game systems out there where basically a lot of power is put into the GM's hands to control the game. But I have found, and I definitely think it's true, it's actually your players that are really in control. They're going to control, you know, whether or not you engage in combat, how much role playing there is going on, by players actively engaging with each other and actively engaging with the maze controller or the GM. They can definitely shape and customize the game experience. The GM can only do so much, but honestly, I think it's really the players. If you got a really good group of players that are really crafty and resourceful, they're gonna have a really awesome game, and it's gonna go somewhere. If you get a bunch of players that are not really into it, ask very minimal questions, you're not going to get out of it. It's kind of like you get what you put into the game. So who's in control? It's basically the players that are in control. So all right. And the last tenet for Dragonslayer is dice rolls. And he's a big proponent for rolling in the open. You roll your players, you don't cut any punches. There are a couple of exceptions, like if your thief is trying to sneak up or use some thief skills or whatnot, try and pick locks or whatnot, the GM will secretly roll those rolls so the player doesn't know how that actually, if they succeeded or not. Especially like if they're sneaking up behind a monster. If they roll poorly, they're going to, go, I'm going to hide behind this pillar, instead of committing whether or not that monster sees them or not, or smells them. It puts a little bit of a new dynamic on things. And that's usually how I've been running in the past anyways. The ability scores are pretty much the same. So nothing new there. Character races. There is a new race in here called the Cyclops Man, which is pretty cool. Let me get the PDF open to that page real quick. Uh, 'cause, 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 ' Oh, where's that? There we go. All right, let me switch this over real quick to window capture. There we go. Let me drop that down. So the Cyclops man. So you know you have your standard races. You know the elf, the halfling, half orc, dwarf, human, gnome, half elf. But there's now the Cyclops man, and bonus points for anyone who knows the movie that Cyclops men are in. Put that down in the notes down below or the comments, and we'll see how you fare on that. As far as classes, looks like the classes are pretty much the standard race or standard classes. I didn't really see anything out of the ordinary. So we could take a look at those real quick. Scroll down. Come on. All right, so you got your cleric. And they do have race limitations on there, which can be a good thing. Gives humans a leg up in some areas, whereas some of the other races get more benefits from them. There's still a D8, and it looks like this is pretty close to the experience points in the old days, so that's pretty good. He's got some quick packs or fast packs, which is good. We got the druid. Let's see here. What else we got here? We got the monk. All right. Thought there was something a little different from the monks, but I haven't really played it just yet, so don't know. So we got the fighter class, typical fighter. Got the barbarian. Got the paladin. The ranger. Magic user. Illusionist. I think we're coming up on the end here. Oh, we got the thief. Yep. We got the assassin. So a lot of the classes that we had from the good old days. We still have the 9 different alignments. Nothing new there. We got the typical equipment here. Oops. Come on. Oh, my thing didn't. All right, let's just go back up to the slideshow here. And on. And we'll get rid of that one. Cool. All right. So looking at this as well, the spells, there are some new spells in there, different named spells as well, which is really cool. But for the most part, there's a lot of the similar spells that you've known and learned to love in the past. It's got a bunch of the old monsters in here. There was a section in here. Back in the back, which is really different. Oh, there is a random dungeon generator, which I have used it several times to good effect. So, really good, robust dungeon generator system. In the back, there's a Dragonslayer FAQ. FAQs about Dragonslayer in itself, like what class should I play? Answer. If you aren't sure what class to play, then play a fighter. Fighters with good armor and a sword alongside their cleave ability are essential, simple, and fun to play. Um, Let me find a really good one here. Um, oh, here's a good one. Magic users and illusionists are pretty weak. Why bother? Answer: yes, arcane spellcasters are weak. They have low hit points and cannot use armor. Well, technically they can. They just can't cast spells while using armor. It is the responsibility of the entire adventuring party to protect their weakest members at all times. Which is a whole game in and of itself. Is your marching order and take care of each other. Uh, it goes on to further to say, arcane spellcasters possess very powerful magic as they increase in level. This advantages the whole party. Even at low levels, magic users and illusionists can charm and claim personal bodyguards. They could potentially in battles and buff fellow party members. So I definitely agree. Using magic users and using them effectively, um, they could be extremely powerful even at lower levels. Instead of focusing on your combat oriented spells, look at ways to control the battlefield or to help unlock puzzles and whatnot. That's how I would go about it. And definitely as they grow in levels, their power definitely increases big time. So uh, the player, your fighter, which starts off pretty strong in the beginning, their power will kind of wane a little bit as your magic users and your spellcasters grow. So, so anyhow, that was good. Um, there is Magic User 101, which is pretty good here. Let me read off a couple of these here. Um, I'll give the first thing here. Magic users and illusionists are weak at low levels, but are essential adventuring companions. The below represents guidance on how to play arcane spellcasters in Dragonlance role-playing game. Carry food. They can distract low intelligence monsters. Carry backup weapons for the fighters. Load crossbows to increase rate of fire. Direct the hirelings, charmed monster, or war dog. Use ranged weapons. Coup de grace, unconscious opponents. While, the fighters and whatnot are busy taking care of the other opponents that are still up, the wizard can take care of some of these other tasks. Always be equipped with holy water, caltrops, oil. It can definitely affect the way battles are held with some stuff like that. Attack the prone opponents because you're already at a disadvantage on trying to melee hit, but if someone's prone, you get a +4 to hit, which is pretty huge. And they're with magic users are also pretty good at mapping the dungeon while everyone else is exploring and whatnot. So, and there's some other things. Hints on like how to use your spells to good effect and whatnot. Then there's another section in here called Sage Advice, and it really is good. And I'll read off a couple of them. There are definitely some hints for someone who's never played an OSR type of game. There's definitely some hints and tips on how to do things. Here's one. It's called In the Rear with the Gear. Smart players contribute without putting themselves in harm's way. Let's see here. Noise and light. Always maintain noise and light discipline. If you don't, you make yourself a target. So, yeah, you can put light out as you're going through a dark area. But guess what? By you lightening things up, and there's a monster, far down the hallway or whatnot, you just made yourself invisible. So now the monsters are aware. So thinking like that. 10-foot pokes. Poke, prod, move, inspect, then inspect again, interact with your environment. Um, let's see here. Let me find one more. Um, broadswords and spears. Broadswords provide more base damage than short or long swords. Sometimes that single point can be the difference between ending or extending a battle. The spear is the ultimate utility weapon. The spear is a melee weapon, it's a missile weapon, and it's a reach weapon all in one. So spears are pretty handy as far as dungeon crawlers go. So, but anyhow, so that's Dragonslayer in a nutshell. It looks like a pretty fun version of BX and AD&D First Edition. I am going to be opening up some games starting this weekend. Today is November 14th. I think I have a game of Dragonslayer starting tonight over on startplaying.games. I'll put a link down in the description. If you're looking to get in a game and learn the system, see what it's like, go ahead and pop on over and sign up for a game. Anyhow, happy gaming, and we'll see you all around. Have a good one.